Okay, guys, so I posted the video earlier, so I feel like I have to get into it a little bit more. I'm going to be posting another video after this, just to do a little 60-second shout out to gain new followers. So I guess disregard that if you've listened to this. So first and foremost, any debt that we have, guys, is not bad, right? Debt necessarily isn't a bad thing. It can be a great thing. It can be a good thing because it's going to help you grow. It's to help you, acquire assets on the private sector. And on the government side of things, when you're putting money in, it helps the economy, overall grow. So basic principles, we've talked about it before. We'll explain it one more time. Yeah, fiscal policy, which, it comes down from the president and the government spending. You could do nothing and just let everything be and let the market take over, or you have monetary policy, which is the Fed, which is like interest rates and interest rates going up and down. Those are the three ways to really grow out of any bubble or anything. And in a sense, right now, if you're sitting back looking at it, the people that have been seasoned investors are saying, okay, here we go. The bubble kind of popped because we had underlying issues of like these zombie corporations and everything, and now we're pumping it back up, right? And we're trying to make the economy grow back. $6 trillion is a lot. That is a lot of freaking money, and $2 trillion given, over to the American people, and some of it directly to the people, some in a roundabout way to help. It's gonna be good. It's gonna at least help people out for this year. So the last thing is I hate to see people starve. I hate to see people get kicked out in the streets and go into chaos and whatever. This is where the government is for. They are supposed to step in and help. Now, do I agree with every single way the dollars and the money spent? No, but we're talking about $2 trillion. I mean, it's kind of like in a relationship. You give some or you win some and you lose some, right? Like, so it's never going to be a fair battle. But the one thing I could say, I was talking to my buddy earlier about this. The best way I could describe, like, I didn't think it was going to be a V, because when the economy does this, it's kind of like the analogy I use is if you're dating a significant other and you think things are going great, right? You're buying dinners and you got plans and whatever, and the other person just says, hey, things aren't working out, it's not you, it's me. And then boom, you get cut by 30% of your love, your everything. Is just like, and then a couple weeks later, that person comes back into your life and says, take me back. And then you're right back up on that high again, right? But there's still some issues there. Like, why did that person want to break up with me in the first place? Why did we go down? Was it a one-off thing? You know what I mean? Was it just because I did one thing that they really questioned and we got over it? Or is it something that was underlying in a relationship that was building up to that moment, right? So that's how I kind of see it. And it's like, well, is it just the coronavirus? Because it is bad. You're really halting American business, and that is making it go down. But at the same time, we did have a lot of funny money. So do you see my concern there? Is I don't know. I don't know if it's just particularly if it's just the coronavirus. Okay, totally understandable. The Dow is still down like $8,000 from the highs, and it's kind of baked in the year and a half to 2 year recovery we're going to take. But if there's underlying issues here, if it goes past what it was supposed to be, if it goes past what just the coronavirus is, and it was actually underlying issues in the economy, then this is an overreaction and an oversell. And for me, I can't really determine that, but I'm still playing the sidelines, guys. I said it 100 million times before, and I'm going to always say it as many times as I can. We don't want to speculate. I would love to get to that level one day, where I have a couple 100,000 and just sitting in a stock trade account. And I'm like, oh, that looks cheap. Screw it. Buy it, put a stop loss. Hey, if it makes 2-3%, freaking great. I made $2,000 to $4,000. I cash out. But we're not day trading. We're actually trying to invest for our future. We're trying to build a nest egg that's going to last. So for us, and for people out there that are looking to jump in, this is a scary time because you jump in and, things go right back down. You go down 10-20%. It's very hard to come up. If you had a stock that was $100, right? And let's say it goes down 50%, right? So it goes all the way down to $50, right? So that doesn't mean the stock only has to go up 50%. No, that means the stock is going to have to go up 100% in order to get that money back, right? Because if it goes to 100, right, and it goes down to $50, right, and you want to get back to 100, the stock would have to go from 50 to 100. That means a 100% increase from that $50 state. If it went from a 50% increase, it'd only go back up to $75. So you see why it's so much easier to go down and so much harder to go up, right? So, and the overall debt, you got to think about it. Not all debt is bad. Debt is actually good. Debt is what allows us to consume more and produce more. So like I said, if you're maxing out your credit cards to go and hit bottle service and hit Vegas and go to Cancun and live that baller lifestyle, probably going to be bad, right? I mean, you get your memories, right? But that's about it. It's not going to help you grow any. But if you're using debt to buy something that's worth it, to buy something that's going to grow, like a stock, or you're using debt to buy a property, like, because no one has $1 million to go buy 10 units, or has $100,000, usually in cash to buy their first rental property, or even their first home, for that sake, in certain parts of the country. You're always going to put down like 5%, 10%, 20, 30, whatever it is. But over time, that debt is going to be minuscule to what it's going to be growing, right? So if you think about it, if you have $100,000 right now, and you take that $100,000 and you buy it, like, you put 20% down, so 20K down, so you owe $80,000 in debt, and you're making, let's say $800 a month off the rent, and it's $600 for the payment, and you're making a $200 profit in your pocket. I'm very, very layman's terms simplifying it, but over that 30 years, you're not going to only get $800 in debt. That rent's going to go up, right? So you're going to go up to about maybe 12, 13, 14, $1,500 a month, but your debt, it's going to stay at 600. So you've made money on the inflation. And when you look at the economy, in a sense, it could do the same thing. So we're going to pump this $6 trillion, right, total, or it could even end up being more. But whatever it is, it was 30% of GDP, the last numbers that came out. Now, if our economy continues to grow, like let's say by 2025, we're producing 32 trillion. Then 2026, we're producing 33 trillion in gross domestic product. That means that we're all selling more, so the government's collecting more taxes. Then hey, it's totally fine. The debt was worth it. Everything was worth it. So we don't go through a depression and we're not fighting each other for freaking a can of beans. It would be worth it. The scary part is if we put this money in and it's going to nothing, and it's not helping people consume, it's not helping businesses grow, and if anything, we go down, and now we got this tax bill, and we don't have as much revenues coming in. That's a very scary spot to be in. So now you got to start lining up your bets. Which way do you think it's going to go? Majority of the time, guys, business is all up here. Just like in life, it's always in your head. It's always in your head. It's all about psyche. It's all about what you think. It's like our money. Our money doesn't really mean anything. It's a piece of paper. That's all it is, but it's just, I know that in my head that if I give you this, you're going to give me a good or a service. And you know that you're going to be able to use it for another good and service. So mentally speaking, you trust it. And if you're trusting the economy, then mentally speaking, you're going to go ahead and buy that new iPhone, or that new, GoPro, or that new iWatch, or you're going to buy that Rolex you had your eye, or you know what I mean? Or you're going to go ahead and go to dinner, with your significant other, or you're going to take that Disneyland trip, So once you have that confidence, like, oh, things are going to be good, things start getting good. But if you have that confidence, like, or de-confidence, where you're like, hey, no, you know what, man, coronavirus, like, let's just chill for a little bit. Let's not go out. Even if everything gets cleared, I'm going to stay away from the gym a couple of months. I'm going to cancel my membership, see how things shake out. I don't really want to hit Applebee's right now. Let's cancel that Disney trip. Then it's not till we're mentally ready to come back out of it and mentally ready to go back out and spend our money. And remember, just because like these airlines, they got cash, injected in, it doesn't mean it was all free money. This money they're gonna have to pay back. This is money that all SBA and small businesses, your local restaurant you love to go to, the local bar you like to go to, if they take these loans out, they're gonna have to pay those back on top of the bills they got. So they're gonna be struggling for a while. And small business does make America grow. So maybe they don't hire that new employee. Maybe the boss puts in more hours. Maybe you as an employee get like an extra, 5 to 10 hours of overtime, to help out. So there's a lot of like still back end, like it's the aftershock, so now you're back in that relationship and you're like, well, wait a minute, I don't know how I feel about this now, like, so there's also that too. And like I said, we don't need to jump in to get that 20% jump. We're not trying to be day traders. We're trying to trade and build, or not trade, but like we're trying to invest for the long term. So you might want to sit back and see how the whole narrative of everything plays out. How these gaming casinos pay out. How does Norwegian, the cruise ships, brain fart, all play out, and how they're going to come back online, and what's their strategy, and even other companies like local bars and restaurants, like how are they going to play out, and what are they going to do to get back into profitability, and how are they going to navigate this, and we still don't know that yet. And, cases are still, and coronavirus are still growing. They haven't hit every country yet. So there still has to be not just a U.S. decline, but it has to be an overall world decline of cases, So this could linger to the end of the year. And, there's still a lot of fallout from it. Now, this is step one, was getting the stimulus and getting it into people's hands. But step two is going to be, how does all that money play in? How do we spend that money, and how do we get out of it? And ultimately, When are we going to open America back up? When are we going to open the world back up to start being able to spend and travel and conduct business and conduct transactions? So from an investment standpoint, don't feel bad at all. If you got your buddy that, put in $1,000 and he made 2,000 and he's all happy, then let him. That's totally fine, because what's going to happen if it goes down another 60% or 70%? And now he's in for 2G, so he's going to lose, what is that, 12? So he's still going to lose cash on it, you know what I mean? And we're not worried about anybody else. We're worried about what we could do, what's best for us and our families, and how we're going to position ourselves. And basically, like Buffett said it best, the best quote ever, one of the best quotes I heard from him. He has a lot of great quotes, but it's like the market is kind of like you going up to bat in baseball, right? But it's 3 strikes and you're out, right? But in this game, the pitcher is the market, and they're going to throw you fastballs, but every now and then they'll throw you a softball. And we're waiting for that softball to hit us so we can hit it out of the park. And until we get all the data and we got our eyes and visions lined up and we're like, you know what, we feel confident, then we can pull that trigger. But there's still too much news. There's too much chaos yet for us to make a educated, smart, sound decision, because we don't know what the companies are going to do. Hell, we don't even know what the world is going to do yet. So from afar, for these markets, I would just stand put. As far as the stimulus goes, enjoy your time with your family and, try to make the most out of it, and let's see how things play out. Hey, if you listen this much, then I hope you appreciate the content. If you can send it to at least 5 friends and DM it, I'd really appreciate it. I'm just doing this for fun and trying to grow the page. Really appreciate your support.